Guys, it turns out that we're actually pretty on top of our information around here. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel.
Unicorn Overlord.
Hello everyone! If you enjoy what I do, my coverage of Unicorn Overlord, other turn-based strategy RPGs, or the gaming sphere in general, a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you. Welcome back to Unicorn Overlord coverage, everyone. It was a little bit of a break there as we were covering the tail end of Fire Emblem things, then some other indie RPGs, indie strategy RPGs coming out. But we're back because Atlas has officially released the next episode of Yosef's Guide to Interaction, the Commander's Guidance series that they've been using to introduce different facets of Unicorn Overlord's mechanics to us in the general populace. It took me a little bit longer to get this video prepared than I would have liked. I have been a little bit under the weather the last couple of days. You may or may not be able to hear it in my voice. We'll see. I'm feeling largely better today, but still. So a little bit of a delay on that. My apologies. But we're back. We're going to get into it now. And it turns out this is a rather short episode, and a lot of it is stuff we already knew based off of my analysis that I did. We'll get into all of that. There's still stuff here that I consider worth covering, as well as just, going over the things that we had theorized about that are now confirmed. Like, it was all just speculation before. Now it's confirmed, so let's get into it. In this guide to interaction, Yosef is essentially covering how the rapport system works, why it's important, and the different ways that you can build rapport with your units. Those three methods are, as we've previously discussed, fighting together in battle. Any unit with the ability to build rapport will do so automatically as they fight together in combat in squads. You can go and eat together in the tavern. Different meals may give more or less rapport depending on the number of participants, the meal that's being consumed, potentially even who's participating. So you do need to make sure that you make your choices carefully. And you can give gifts with the more carefully chosen, appropriately gifted item providing better gains. Notably, this is actually something that's stated to be a method to build rapport with town guards that you station specifically. And I'm assuming that this is a mechanic that is in the game to keep your guards from falling behind in terms of rapport with the rest of your units. But it also implies that stationing someone as a guard will in fact make them unavailable to you to use in your squads. So it stands to reason why there's so many named characters we're going to be able to recruit on top of being able to hire generics. If we need to make sure that we can station people at all these various towns, outposts, forts, etc. that we've seen thus far in the pre-release material, that's going to put a decent dent in your forces. So you need to have a wide variety of units you can draw on to actually make that defense possible. And it's good to know that Vanillaware is actually considering the fact that, you might not always just be leaving a particular character on guard. You might just be leaving them there for a little while. So having a way to make sure that they don't fall too far behind in terms of rapport, at the very least with a lane, nice. Good thing to consider there. We also have direct confirmation that rapport does in fact give stat buffs. It works like Fire Emblem supports, as we had previously assumed as well, with some levels of rapport being purely statistical, whereas others actually do have special scenes associated with them a la Fire Emblem, and it'll actually tell you in the interface if it's just a new rapport level or if there's a special scene, as we can see here. It's implied as well that you may need to go to a specific part of the map to trigger these scenes, as we can see here that this scene taking place between Elaine and Scarlet is actually triggered in a specific area where Scarlet and Elaine share a memory together, and presumably you have to actually go there to trigger the scene. How that's going to wind up playing out in terms of potentially limiting your ability to gain new rapport levels is something we're going to have to see. It's possible that you might be able to continue to progress the level of rapport that you have with someone without having seen the scene, and then you can just go to the area where the scene would take place to be able to view it. Not sure. We'll have to see. It's also possible that they just moved there during the trailer to have it be a little bit more cinematic, but you could activate it whenever and the characters just go there. Who knows? We'll have to see, but it's something that I thought was interesting. We'll have to pay attention to. There are some other new little miscellaneous details that we've seen in this video as well. There's a few new meals that we saw. The fresh caught seafood paella, the decadent rice pilaf, and the exquisite Fraser cake. I'm not a huge seafood guy, especially not for mussels and other shellfish like that. So the paella isn't of particular interest to me, but I mean, I do love a good rice pilaf. I love rice in general. And I don't know what a Fraser cake is, but I mean, cake is typically pretty good. So I imagine it's probably pretty good. It certainly looks pretty good. They all look good, right? It's Vanillaware food. It's always going to look good. But so we can see that there's definitely going to be a large variety of different foods you're going to be able to order throughout the game. We also have our first instance of English VA since the initial reveal trailer for Unicorn Overlord. And I gotta say, it sounds pretty good.
Your Highness, in its current state, the Liberation Army yet suffers from disunity. We would be wise to deepen the bonds between our comrades.
You have a point. Even if our new hires possess great skills, those skills cannot serve us until the unit can fight as one.
Yosef sounds wizened, but not ancient, as I would expect. He's still a man in fighting shape. He's still capable, so he shouldn't sound like an old, decrepit man. And Elaine sounds like a JRPG protagonist, but not in a bad way. You know, he just has that kind of young, contemplative, yet driven type of individual, which I would expect from a character in the type of situation that he's in. We've also seen a new castle that we can control here at Castle Soldraga. It's possible that the mountainous region we can see Soldraga in here is the same region that the Angel Folk were in one of their towns that we saw in a previous trailer. It's not necessarily a guarantee, but if it is, then this might be a location that you want to be sprinting to early in the game if you're interested in recruiting a lot of Angel Folk. And we have also seen a number of new character names and bust sprites, although not all of them have known classes. It is also important to note that some of these could be generic units as well, so keep that in mind, but they are as follows. Fran, a Griffin Knight. Miriam, who we've seen before, her sprite would imply that she's cavalry. Kitra, unknown, but it looks like based on her hair, she might be bird folk or an angel or something along those lines. Aush, who seems to be a priest of some kind. Magellan, maybe some sort of mercenary class. Prim, perhaps a cleric. Morden, who I couldn't glean anything from his sprite, but is possibly a dwarf. Nina, Sharon, Tatiana, Monica, all who are unknown. Adele, who seems to be cavalry. Hilda, Liza, and Berenice, who also all seem to be unknown. Selvi, who looks like a shaman. And then Jeremy and Ridiel, who are also unknown. Again, it's entirely possible that some of these characters are actually just generics that were named for the use of this trailer and don't actually show up as playable characters in terms of, you know, named characters with voices and storylines and everything. But maybe not. Maybe these are all some of the named characters that are in the game, and we haven't seen generics really at play yet. Who knows? We'll have to see. All in all, I'm glad that we're getting these Commander's Guidance videos, even if they are rather short, and this one in particular just confirmed a lot of things that we already kind of had figured out for ourselves, or at least theorized about, because it confirms that A, we're on the right track, and B, how these mechanics are going to work before we get into the game. It gives you the ability to plan things out a little bit. Like, we know now that getting gifts is going to be very, very important. You know, I was thinking of it in terms of things like Fire Emblem Three Houses, where you could get gifts to give to characters to build their relationship with you and potentially recruit them if they're from an imposing house, whatever. But it was never the most important thing in the world. Whereas here, actually thinking about what gifts that you're getting, making sure that you're allotting funds towards purchasing gifts for characters that you want to make sure you're building rapport with, especially if you're going to be leaving them as guards, seems like it is going to be very important. So I'm glad that we know that now, so I can kind of slot that into my own strategizing when the game drops on the 8th. Other things like knowing that there's going to be a variety of different meals is very fun, partially just because it's nice art, but also because it's going to give you, again, a lot of opportunities to build rapport with different characters and in different ways. And for me, it gives me potentially more content to do, because I am working on the very first Unicorn Overlord cooking video that I had mentioned a while back. All the footage is recorded and all the photographs have been taken. It's not just a matter of editing it together, and hopefully that'll be out very, very soon. So I'm always excited to see more of that. And then, of course, just the knowledge that, yes, building rapport with your characters in battle is essentially identical to how it works in Fire Emblem. And I know people have said that systems like this have existed in other games that are more Ogre Battle-like, including Ogre Battle itself, but Fire Emblem is going to be probably the most common point of reference for most people, so that's why I bring it up regularly. Now you know, you want to have a bunch of characters that build rapport with each other, slap them into a squad together, get those levels up, let them see a lot of combat, and they'll become war buddies before you know it. As far as all these new characters are concerned, it's nice to see now that there is a lot of variety in terms of sprites, character designs, all that good stuff. I know people have talked before about how, yeah, Vanillaware has great designs. They do awesome, stylish, out there character art and everything like that. But generally for a smaller ensemble cast, right? A small party in Dragon's Crown, or a collection of schoolmates and other people associated with them from 13 Sentinels, things like that. But when you've got an entire army like this, that's a lot of character sprite work. That's a lot of design work. But now, seeing what we're seeing here, I think there's going to be plenty of variety and plenty of quality to go around there. Say nothing of the fact that all the generics look pretty damn good as well. Next up, apparently Yosef is going to be talking about actually raising and training units, so I'm excited to see what that entails, because that should really get into a lot more of the mechanics that we really need to know about in terms of how to raise your units, how to level them, how promotions are going to work, growth rates, learning new skills, all that type of fun stuff. So hopefully that episode comes out very, very soon. And then just around the corner, I'm also going to be doing a video covering some recent gameplay footage that people were messaging me about that is actually not as new as most seem to think it is, but there is still stuff that's worth covering there, and I'll talk about that more when I get into it in a couple of days. For now, though, I think that's all there is to discuss for character and unit interactions here. I hope you enjoyed. My name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and until the next time, I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.